Hey there, my name's Drew Brashler, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to use the PreSonus StudioLive 16.0.2 USB with Waves SuperRack Performer. Now, a bunch of you have been asking for this video since I released a small series on the StudioLive 16.0.2 USB, so this is for you. Now, if you're brand new to my channel, I'm all about helping you feel more confident with your production gear no matter where you're starting from. So let's go ahead and dive in. Now, the great thing about the StudioLive here that I have is it has an 18 in and 18 out USB interface on the back of the console, meaning that all the inputs coming into the back of the console can go to the USB to your computer and can be fed back into the mixer, which is great. Now, one thing to note is that we can choose this to be pre-processing or post-processing. So I can decide if I want my Waves rack to be before the fat channel or after the fat channel processing. So before your EQ, dynamics, everything like that. Or you can have it be post. And I'll show you how to get that set up here in a little bit. So I have a microphone plugged in here on channel 1, and we can see if I go to my input metering that I have this mic here. So check, 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 which we can hear. Now, by default, the audio from this input is automatically going to the USB send to the computer. So if I go over to Waves SuperRack Performer, I need to do a little bit of setup on this before we can actually get audio going into Waves SuperRack. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to press setup right here. And then under audio device, I'm going to go select my StudioLive 16.0.2 USB. Now, a couple things to note here is it's automatically going to pull up the sample rate of this console, which is 48K right now. And then we want to set our buffer size. Now, our buffer size is important because if we set this incorrectly, we can actually get more latency, which is not going to be great for the musicians up on stage. So when we have our buffer size, when we're selecting a buffer size up here in the 512 to 2048, this is going to be a large buffer. Now, the benefit of a large buffer is it's going to task your processor less. So it's going to put less processor task on your computer. So if you happen to have an older computer that you're running Waves SuperRack Performer, you'll want to select something that's probably above 256. Now, if you have a blazing fast computer, then you want to be selecting something on the lower buffer size. Now, the benefits of the lower buffer size is you have less latency. But the downside of a less buffer size is there's more processor task that's happening. So it's going to be putting more CPU usage on your computer. Now, for today, I'm just going to go ahead and select 256 because I'm also doing a screen recording for you guys to see this. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure to select 256. Now, at this point, Waves SuperRack Performer is set up, ready to accept audio and route it back to the console. So what I can do is I can go over to Overview, and we can see our rack setup here. So I have my rack 1, and if you're brand new to Waves SuperRack Performer, we have our input, and this is our channel strip, and then we have our output. Now, if I'm wanting to route this audio, all I have to do is drop down this arrow, and I need to select if it's a mono or a stereo source. So this microphone right here is a mono source. I have this as one single channel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Mono, StudioLive, and then channel 1 on the StudioLive. And once I click this, we will see that we have audio coming in on this channel. So as I talk into this, we can see that that is working. But if I go and press mute, we will notice that we can still hear this microphone. And that's because I'm still listening to the original signal coming from the input. So now to actually get waves going back through our PreSonus mixer so we can actually get our waves processing, all we have to do is on our channel, go and press this USB button, and then we just simply press 1. And at this point, this channel is reading what's coming in from the USB. So we've changed the routing so that this channel is coming in from the USB. So our signal path right now is this microphone going into the preamp. The preamp is then hitting our USB send to the computer. It's then sending back from Waves into the console right at the top of the channel strip, meaning that I can then use my fat processing to do additional EQ compression, whatever I want to, on this channel. So if I go back into Waves, we can see that as I'm tapping this, it's not outputting to the mixer, but if I unmute this at this point, now this is working. So now I could go insert anything that I want to. So I could go in and put in a Waves tune real time. Give myself some T-Pain here. Ooh. So at this point, this channel is coming into the console, being sent to Waves, processing, getting back into the console to then be processed more, and then to our fader, and then to the main left, right. Now, this is as simple as it is for setting this up. Now, if we had a stereo channel, then what we would do is we would go over to our stereo channel. So I'm going to go ahead and select my channel 3, and I'm going to link my channel 3 and 4. And I'm just going to go ahead and change my input to being on 3. So there we go. We can see check 1, 2. If I go to my input meters, we can see that I have signal on the left. And as we raise this up, we can see and hear that this is coming in on the left-hand side. So if we go over to my overview here, I can select any rack that I want to. So I could go and select my rack 2 if I want to, or I could use my rack 3. So I'm going to go ahead and use my rack 3. I'm going to go and select Stereo, StudioLive, and we are going to pull this in from channel 3 and 4. So I'm going to go ahead and select that, and we can see that I have input coming in right here. And at this point on my USB, I'm going to select 3 and 4. And at this point, we are getting the audio coming from Waves, and I can verify that by muting this rack, and we can hear that that has been removed. And so if we have a mono source, we want to use a mono input for our rack. If we have a stereo, we want to be using a stereo input source on Waves SuperRack Performer. That way the plugins treat the stereo source together. Now I'm going to take this back out and put it back into input 1 here. Now earlier in the video, I was mentioning that we can send our USB sends post-processing rather than pre-processing. And to do that, all we have to do is select our channel and then just press digital out post. At this point, this is post our fat channel processing. So anything that I do in my fat channel will be affecting the send to Waves, and then it's still getting our audio back from Waves into my channel here. And so to do this, I'm just going to go ahead and pull up a F6 or an HEQ. HEQ would work. So we can see that as I'm talking into this, we have a full range signal. We got a lot of low end, pop, pop, pop. We can hear and see that happening down there. Now, if I go and put in a high pass filter, check 1, 2, and I raise this up to 1K, we can see, pop, 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 that I am now not having as much low end in here. Now, if I go and change my digital out to be pre, pop, 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 we can see that I have a significant more amount of low end, pop, pop, pop. And if I put this in, and we can go pop, 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 and we can notice that there's no more low end here. So this high pass filter is indeed in line. Now, one thing to note is if you're planning on just using Waves SuperRack Performer for, say, Autotune, my suggestion is to have it after your channel processing. So have it after your high pass filter, have it after your EQ, have it after your compression, have that be the last in chain before it hits the fader, which we would want to have our digital out be post. Now that also applies for inside of Waves SuperRack Performer. Have that Autotune be the very last thing in your channel processing. That's a little bit of a tip of mine, because at the slower, quieter notes, the Autotune will have a better chance of picking it up and tuning those notes correctly if it's after all of your processing, giving it the most amount of signal. If you have it before all that processing, some of those quiet notes might not be tuned correctly, which is always a bad thing. So I hope this video is helpful for you today. If you do happen to have any questions, or there's a video that you're hoping that I would make on the StudioLive, or really any of the other production mixers that are out there, please post that comment in the comment section down below, as I'm always reading through those comments to find videos that are going to be helpful for you. For instance, this video. Now, if you haven't already, make sure to check out my website at drewbrashler.com. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day.